So one of the most important things is to build routines into every part of the day, whether that's entering or exiting the classroom. Maybe you put a line on the floor of tape so that kids know exactly where to line up and you can refer to that. Maybe you have a specific corner that you put your bench in for them to sit and wait when you're waiting for the bathroom or waiting to wash hands. We have routines for putting away folders and going to your locker so that we can work those things to the kids' benefit so that they can be consistent with it and learn that routine. And it helps the adults keep those routines in place and know from each other what we're doing so that we can teach it the same way to our kids. Another important part is planning. If your stuff is not ready ahead of time, you're probably not going to get to it, because without having it prepared ahead of time, the kids don't have the patience to wait. So all of our stuff, and I don't know if you can see this, I'll grab it real quick. All of our stuff is in a bucket ready to go. So in this bucket, at one rotation table, it will have their work, it will have the crayons, the fidget toys for when they're waiting, scissors, glue, pencil. Occasionally you're going to have to jump up and grab a highlighter or something, but for the most part, everything is here so that you can stay engaged with the kids. You have a waiting card, so if they need to wait their turn, because you can only work with one kid at a time, that's what the fidget toys are for too, to fill that space and again build in that routine. Just a minute. Some of the things that we hear from other teachers and happens in our room too are some of the behaviors. I know that presents some major obstacles for people, and it's a hard thing to adjust to and learn about. The first thing that comes to mind with that is trial and error. You have to learn the kids, you have to figure out what their motive is for the behavior. Somebody from the outside may walk in and say, oh, she's screaming because she's hurting, or it's too loud, or the lights are too bright. Those are things that we associate with autism, but when you look a little deeper into it, it's usually task avoidance. It's usually because you told them no. Maybe somebody else has the item that they want at that moment. So always try to look another step further into what the motive is behind the behavior, because that's going to be where you can gain some insight into redirecting that behavior. So you may tell the child, no, you can't have the book right now, but you can have this or this. You're still giving them a choice, but you're not giving them the object that another student has, because they're learning skills at that same time. They're learning to wait their turn. They're learning to request it appropriately. So every part of our day has an opportunity to build positive behaviors, to teach routines, and to build one of the other building blocks of it is the trust that they have in us, that we're going to be consistent every single time. It's not easy, and not every day goes the way it's scripted in my head, and that's usually because the kids have another plan. But when our plans are in place, when our team is on the same page, we have the opportunity to help our kids gain enough self-control that they become more successful. Their opportunities for learning are more developed for them. Because if we just continue to let our kids run their environment with their behavior, we won't ever get to the learning part. So at this point, when we're making this video, we're at midterm. We are just now getting to a point where our kids are entering the classroom, for example, and remembering to go straight to their schedule first and then to the designated area. Out of 7 students, I have about 3 that can do that independently. Everybody else is hands-on, and we're still prompting them physically, verbally, showing them where to go, and assisting them with it. It's, like I said, it's not easy, but the payoff is huge if you push through those hard days. Even when you feel like it's your last bit of energy left, if you can tag team with somebody on your team and say, hey, I need help, with this kid or that one at the time, payoff, you'll see it in the end. I think, especially for new people, it is the behavior is the biggest obstacle. And what I would say to that is, if you do your part in the beginning, which is not easy, but you reach out to somebody that can help you establish some of those routines. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to back up and change a step or two because you know this isn't working. And that's normal. We do it even up until the end of the year. For one thing, your kids change, activities change, schedules change. But you do your best to build in those routines, stick with a consistent schedule, and push through the behaviors. So if we decide as a team that little Johnny is throwing a fit at rotation time, and we discover that it's task avoidance for him, then we decide what's our strategy for tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're going to help him get to his table and stay with him so that you work him through each step and guide him through. That may mean you sit behind him with a chair and y'all hand over hand do your activity, just so you're building in that compliance. You're building in the routine for him. And he's learning that you have a plan for him. And that's what's important about it. Because it's just typical behavior. We see it in toddlers. And they get the cookie, then they learn that's what works.
Correct.
So if our kids throw a tantrum and they get out of work and somebody gives them a fidget toy, then we've just rewarded that behavior. It's definitely not the easy plan, but it will pay off.